Hello friends, SentinalH here, and welcome back to a RotaryCraft tutorial video. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at two new blocks, the Soil Hydrator and the Block Drop Processor. I'm going to be covering new stuff in RotaryCraft in no particular order, just grabbing some blocks that I thought were interesting and throwing them out, so here we go. Now, the Soil Hydrator should be pretty obvious in what it does. It hydrates soil. So it will auto-hydrate your farmland as well as speeding up crop growth, which is pretty darn awesome. And all you have to do is give it water. So to craft the Soil Hydrator, you simply need 3 wood blocks. It can be any wood block, 2 base panels, 2 steel ingots, and a ladder in a work table, and that will give you the Soil Hydrator. Okay. And then we're also going to talk about the Block Drop Processor. Now what this does is any blocks that when you break them they produce not a block but drops, it will just automatically grind those into the drops, so you don't got to place them and break them. And you craft this with 6 base panels, 2 steel ingots, and a drill. Okay, the drill from RotaryCraft, the item, you know, that goes in the extractor. Yeah. And this works on things like glowstone and most likely clay. I was going to grab some clay so that we can try that one out. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on gravel. I tried that, and it doesn't work. If you can stick almost anything through it, and that I've seen, and if it doesn't have a drop, it just goes into the output slot as the block. So it doesn't destroy stuff if it doesn't have a drop, which is nice. So we'll take a look at that first, and then we'll take a look at the Soil Hydrator. So you have to put the power in the back, and it takes not very much power, 32 Newton meters of torque, and 1024 watts. So 32 and 32 will run that for you. Right? So the Block Drop Processor, if I put a piece of glowstone in, and it runs kind of slowly at the minimum speed, so we'll just like jump this up to 128, and it should, yeah, that runs quite a bit faster. And what we end up with is the glowstone dust. Okay, only 2 of it though, so you really wouldn't want to do that. I'm pretty sure that you can stick glowstone into other things and get more. The macerator from will give you 4. The enrichment chamber will give you 4. The grinder from RotaryCraft will give you 4. So yeah, it's not the best place to put glowstone. I should be able to put clay in there, I would think anyway. And this may have been designed for a very specific block to go in, but as you can see, the clay, you can put it in there, and I don't think you can get more than 4 out of it in anything. Centrifuge. Yeah. So clay would be something that you can stick in there, but some things like glowstone, you're better off putting them elsewhere. But yeah, any block that breaks and gives you drops, you can just stick in here, and it'll produce the drops. And now you notice that the output slot will only hold 1 instance, so you're going to want to pump the stuff out. You're going to want to get the items out of here automatically and get them out of here right away. Otherwise, it's not going to process more than 1 block. Okay? So that's the Block Drop Processor. It's very simple. Little utility block. I can't imagine what I would use it for. I was going to use it for gravel, but it doesn't appear to work. I stuck some gravel in there, and you know, it just popped the gravel back out. Okay, Soil Hydrator. This is the cool one for this episode. Quite neat. I needed to make a quick episode because I don't have a ton of time today. So here it is, Soil Hydrator. So the way it works, and this looks awesome, by the way, just looks awesome. The way it works is that you place it in the ground. So it needs to be on the same level as the soil that you're trying to hydrate. Okay, it doesn't go on top of it; it goes in it. Okay, so that's important. And then you can put the water in through the top. Apparently, I was putting it in through the side over there. Yep, it goes. The water will go in right through the top, which means you technically don't even need a pipe. Just slap a reservoir directly on top of it, and you'll be good. Some sort of rainwater catchment system. I know reservoirs technically do that, but you know, some sort of rainwater catchment or whatever to fill it up. I don't know how. We'll see how quickly it uses up its water. Now what you need to do is just hoe the ground around it, and it'll use up water to keep it hydrated. See, it's hydrating it. You see, the farmland is turning from not hydrated to hydrated. Not at the most rapid pace in the world, but pretty quickly. Okay, so you can't just put a reservoir on top. It ran out of water. So you definitely need to put a pipe there. Good to know. So it needs a pipe. And you can see it's using up the water at a decent little pace. You know? So you're going to want a decent water supply. But, you know, a single pump will run probably more than one of these if you power it with, you know, properly. It's going to run a couple of these, I'm sure. Now, this over here shows us essentially the effective maximum range. As you can see, as you get further away from the hydrator, the little water effect gets dimmer and dimmer, especially in the corners. So we can infer from this that the hydrator has a circular range rather than a square one, because it's quite a bit brighter on the outside edges here than it is on this corner. You see, it does work, but it would appear to me that the effective range, like the range at which it's most effective, is probably something like 4 blocks in each direction from it. You can see it's quite bright right here. Not as bright right there, but really when you get into the corners, that's when it starts to get really dim. And then these ones won't be very well hydrated. You can see it's taking forever to hydrate them. And yeah, so they might turn back to the, see that they'll turn back to dirt. So you can definitely do that. And I imagine if you go far enough away, yeah, there you go. It just stopped altogether. So there we go. The maximum range on this, the absolute maximum range, is going to be is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks away. But as you can see, these keep turning back into dirt because they're not being hydrated quickly enough. Is 6 blocks in each direction, but in a circular sort of setup. This one right here barely has anything, and at 7 you get nothing. So there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we go in this direction, you can see at the corners, not hydrated at all. So that's how the end of it works. See, the 6x6, the 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks in the corner are not in range. Well, this one technically is, but look at that. It's barely in range, so I don't think it really would work. And that makes this the effective cutoff point. However, as you can see, the effective range is 4 or 5. So you can tessellate these and stick these around your area on your, if you have a big enough farmland, and just passively hydrate your farmland. Very nice. Actually, I really like these. I'm going to start using it in the Let's Play series. I'll stick one down to build a nice big farm. Of course, I need to get some water up there. We'll see how we do that. So there you go, Soil Hydrator. Pretty cool. Definitely very useful for farming. Anyway, and that's it for this episode. I know it's a shorter one, but we covered a couple of blocks, and it can't all be thorium reactors. I am still experimenting with the thorium reactor. It just didn't have time recently, but, well, I say I didn't have time. I was playing Civ 6 a lot. So we'll get back into the we'll talk more about ReactorCraft next week. We'll get into the high temperature gas reactor has had a significant change, so changes since I last talked about it. So we'll get into that in the next episode. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Don't forget to join our Discord. It's the best way to talk to me, and follow us on Twitter so that you know when we're streaming. I do want to start streaming again. It's just, you know, stuff gets in the way. Anyway, follow me on, become a Patreon if you want to support the channel in the most direct way possible. Stay tuned for future episodes. I'm Sentinel H, and I'm signing out.